last time around. Let's see if he's got anything else prepped for us. Start things off, though, it's just going to be that Thresh.
So you see a Thresh ban on blue side. You did not see Thresh bans from SKT. Mada played 4 games in a row of Thresh, but they realized the real target needed to be Kalista. Kalista was the champion that empowered the Thresh to have a really strong early to mid-game transition when the turret went down bot lane. But Samsung will be willing to play Kalista. Core JJ does not play Thresh. Only a single game in summer season. Only 2 games in his entire career as support. So they have to ban it away here, but they will consider Kalista at first pick.
Well, LeBlanc going to be the final ban here from Samsung as he's been going rather quickly. Galio as well following up from them, taking that one out of the hands of Pawn. They fire back with the Cassiopeia and the Tristana, so major comfort taken away from Crown and Ruler, who played the Tristana 4 times in their series versus the Afrika Freaks.
To interesting effectiveness. The first 5 games were losses. He was actually one of our slowest Tristana converts. It was one of the late picks that came up in the AD carry pool, and I wasn't convinced of his Tristana until those final 2 games. Mentioned the Kalista. Kalista is available, but no Thresh or Alistar to pair it with here for the side of Samsung.
We'll go ahead and lock that one in, which means it's a very swift recon pickup here for Mata. So wants to be able to jump in on top of that Kalista,
really
just get
strong,
the CC through.
Really strong first round. Rakan was banned quite frequently against KT before SKT started playing it in the semifinals of the Gauntlet, and also the famous Gragas for score. Gragas' priority from teams has been haphazard. Some teams have shown priority, some teams haven't, even though it had a 10-1 score in the Gauntlet. This is a power pick in every region, so it being available here alongside the Rakan is powerful, but they want to deny KT the ability to play around bot side and rotate through other lanes with the Kalista roams, so that's a pretty big price to pay.
Well, Cho'Gath going to be the snatch up here for the side of Samsung. We've seen it in the jungle every now and then, but likely going to be in the top lane there for Cuvée.
Yeah, my guess would be Sejuani jungle as an answer to the Gragas and Zac, which is still available. Wow. But Gragas against Zac is a matchup we've seen many times, Achilles, and the Gragas teams, if they have a strong level 1 to level 6 plan, get in there, contest camps, put the Zacs hopelessly behind. I feel like on average, Gragas has been 2 levels above Zac in the early game because of the multi-level plans. Irene has done some excellent videos to show you how teams can shut down the Zac. Your skirmishing is not powerful here, and Cho'Gath just wants to sit in a short lane and be powerful. So Samsung do have power in their draft, but the Zac has become much more of a risky pick than when it was auto-ban status in the regular season.
Well, going into the second round of the bans here, Taric is going to be the first one taken away by KT Rolster. So want to get rid of those hard-hitting melee supports here. So just to try to nullify that Fate's Call coming through from Ruler. They'll answer with a Rumble, focusing out over onto that top lane, knowing that it's really going to be score with the Gragas.
Deft has lower Xayah priority than most AD carries, but of the picks available, it's one of the most powerful, and it is a true late-game carry. Already has a lot of zoning from the Gragas and Rakan in front of him. 2 melee supports, like you say, banned away. Or JJ, much more on the Blitzcrank side of the hook coin compared to the Thresh they had to ban away themselves. And they're respecting Mada, maybe last picking for Smeb and looking for a lane counter. Usually in these sort of spots, Smeb's been jumping on champions like the Shen against a lot of the tank matchups. Was criticized by some other pros about that priority. Looking for KT to blind pick a lane. They will be blind picking for mid lane. They take the Talia that Pawn had some woeful performances on against Faker. Today he's against Crown, and Crown's champion pool on his own has been criticized. So will it be the Cassiopeia banned? The Orianna's the comfortable matchup, but Talia will have the early shove, and it'd be shoving lanes and Gragas to invade a Zac. So maybe KT's all right with that result.
See where he wants to go. We did see this Syndra from him just in the last series, and they'll go ahead and just snatch that up for themselves. And it's going to be the Lulu for the bottom lane. So not the most powerful when it comes down to that Fate's Call, but it can at least use it to get the Lulu out to safety. But maybe the toss in with the self-wild growth for a massive knock-up could be the play from Samsung. But for now, just going to be rather safe having those constant shields in on the Kalista to keep her safe.
It does end up being the Shen I alluded to when it comes to the tank matchup in top side. So a lot of globals here for KT. Not necessarily push priority in top, but push priority in mid lane to roam with the Gragas and ruin Zac's day. Usually Syndra is strongest when you have an early power spike jungler to allow her to set up for those kills. Zac doesn't usually represent that, especially if KT can hold down ambition. So that's what I'm going to be looking for from KT. focus onto the Zac, focus onto shutting down the jungler from Samsung Galaxy. Also a note, guys, it is dynamic side selection again. KT came in as higher seed. They chose red side. They were choosing blue side back during the Telecom War semifinal. Going red side does ensure matchups for Smeb a little bit more. So he chooses the Shen into the Cho'Gath and looks to find some comfort through that.
All right, well, everybody ready to go. Picks locked in. Game number 1 getting ready to get underway here for this final series of LCK in 2017. Winner of this best of 5 will be joining SK Telecom T1 and Longzhu Gaming at the World Championship representing Korea. And they are both going to be vying for it and fighting tooth and nail to lock that down.
And one team won't be there. That's the crazy thing, Achilles. One of Samsung Galaxy or KT Rolster will not go to Worlds. We'll have to watch on and wonder what if both of these teams could make it to the World Finals with a good run. One of them will be completely denied the chance. That is why it is a cutthroat best of 5.
And that is why we need a 4th spot at Worlds for Korea, Papa Smithy. So we don't have to pick and choose. We can just get the best of everything, but unfortunately not the world that we live in. So these guys are going to be having a gladiator-style battle to determine who is going to be that final team going to China. Let's go ahead, jump onto the rift for game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, well, the fans actually fighting over who's going to start the cheer, and already KT pushing in very aggressively. Look for that grand entrance in onto Ruler. Not going to find it. Not going to get any of those summoner spells away from him, which, let's go ahead and touch on. He's going to be running the barrier on Kalista.
Kalista running barrier. Heal from Core JJ, but notice that there's no wind speakers from Core JJ. Wants the Thunderlords for laning presence, so they will not be getting the extra value out of that heal. That means less likely to pop, and when you see this lineup, early ganks is certainly possible. We've seen a lot of Taliyah players gank as early as level 2, level 3, pushing up through mid lane. So going for the most defensive ability early. What this says from Samsung is they're very much understanding, okay, KT probably do have a proactive early game plan. They're that type of team, and it's that kind of draft. Let's try to even take greedier early game summoners, basically put all their emphasis into denying in the early game. They will be supremely confident if they can take it late, even though KT Rolster's late game is nothing to really shake a stick at when it comes to the pick and ban. Late invade coming here. We saw a lot of these sort of late invades from SKT against KT and trying to shut down Zac's jungle start.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and peel away from that blue buff. He's hovering still in the vicinity, though, as he does have vision, so it seems like Score and Smeb will just go ahead and peel back. Wait him just a couple seconds here as he will start up on the Wolves. Score's wrapping back around. Spotted him out, and Ambition yet again is going to get shoved back.
Taliyah's already left lane. That was indicated by Crown. So KT enacting vertical jungling on Cho'Gath's side would be a massive win. Samsung really do want to contest this because this would mean that Cho'Gath can't overextend if the jungle is completely controlled topside. That's why we see Ambition come in. He's trying to contest this solo now that the laners have returned, but this is heavily delaying everything going on for both junglers.
Yeah, it is a time sink here for both of them, so neither really going to be profiting from this one. And Ambition is just going to go back to those 2 remaining Wolves.
So why
1 CS in the inventory.
Other teams would surrender topside of the jungle, and the reason why you don't see that here is that Cho'Gath, famously what we've learned from other regions especially, is that if Cho'Gath loses his flash, his laning phase is actually very risky. Feels like a risky top laner because he doesn't have the ability to evade ganks with any level of reliability. He wants to overextend and comfortably farm up. But we saw Khan just profiting in the Jace vs Cho'Gath matchup. Shen vs Cho'Gath isn't that, but when you have to always fear the enemy jungler being there because your jungler is playing around bot side exclusively, that's the same sort of headache as, well, we see another person involved in shutting down the Zac with all those little raptors going the way of Pawn.
Yeah, starting to get a bit brutal here to watch. For Ambition just keeps getting poked out at every twist and turn here. Seems like he'll finally get some peace and quiet in the jungle as he starts up over onto the red buff. But has been set back pretty decently there. So good pressure coming out from KT already. And like you mentioned, you know, early game proactive team. That is what KT has debuted from us. But it comes down to that late game shot calling where they sometimes suffer.
But it's good to see that Samsung have the same read that everyone does about what KT wanted to do today. because you noticed that Core JJ did not go for the melee support. There were a few available, but went for the Lulu for laning power. Lulu with heal, ranged auto attack. They don't want to be perma-pushed in bot side, while their jungler is also suffering in the Gragas versus Zac direct matchup, where Gragas has ascendancy, there's globals to respect, there's a pushing mid lane. They went for a pushing bot lane, or at least the ability to control the wave, to give a little bit of extra help to Ambition, because he can't win the jungle matchup on his own.
Things going to slow down here pretty considerably, as we just have the farming coming through from both sides. So I'm not going to be seeing too many leads starting the stretch here. Pawn a little bit ahead because of those Raptors that he got to take away from Ambition, but otherwise pretty even across the board. Score's going to snatch up the Scuttle Crab, but he's rather low, so going up towards the top lane be a bit too risky. So instead he'll just start up this blue buff that still hasn't been taken.
Zac can path away from blue. Jungler's giving up their first blue has largely stopped happening.
He's working his way over here.
He has to go very safely because he doesn't know where the wards are. There's double wards in. He might have a chance with the smite though.
And Score will just go ahead and smite that one away, so Ambition says, all right, I guess I'll just start up the Gromp instead. A little bit of a consolation prize for arriving, I guess.
People might wonder, why do we see so much priority put into shutting down Zax early? What makes him a jungler you can invade and not other options? And everyone knows that Elise is a strong skirmisher. The thing that makes Zac so weak early is that when it comes to skirmish damage, doesn't have it. Feels a bit like Maokai, another jungler who can't skirmish strong. It's nice trade by KT bot lane.
Yeah, really just chunking out Ruler, putting him down below half HP. And it's not even done yet as Def just keeps throwing out those feathers. So just working that Kalista down as much as possible. He still has the barrier in the case of a massive all-in. So be able to hold on to that one.
Barrier, Lulu shields. Reality of an all-in actually working is low, but lane priority, what it's all about, getting the preferential back rather than potentially picking up a kill, which is a lot less likely. Ruler and Core JJ have been among our best laning duos, so hard to pull that off. But it's all been quiet. And KT famously have the largest goal difference at 15 of any team in the LCK, averaging around 2,000. So it being so quiet, so nondescript, only Zac suffering is just fine from the perspective of Samsung Galaxy.
Cuba getting some nice trades here on a Smeb, but low on mana. He will go ahead and start working his way back to base. We can get those first purchases coming through. See what Smeb wants to go for. Tiamat could come out just to try to keep up with the wave clear that Cuba has.
Note that we've seen level 3 Zax at 6 minutes. He is level 5 here. He has been able to get access to camps. It hasn't been quite the same multi-pronged attack that Longzhu and SKT were both able to invest in, and Samsung did go laning focused in bot lane. So that's why we see Zac actually getting levels pretty healthily. Still the outside chance of Zac getting a successful gank across the map.
Well, for now, doesn't find any entry into the bottom side, so we'll just go ahead and start taking away those Krugs. So still just going to be steady as she goes, as both top laners do go ahead and use their TP. So advantage over to Smeb at the moment. He does have the Stand United available. QA, of course, can interrupt both with the Rupture and with his Scream. They stop him from arriving into the bottom or mid lanes.
This is the time where the map becomes the big story. Cuve teleported back to top lane, so did Smeb. But Stand United and the Weaver's Wall both available. Strong skirmishing and ganking potential from KT Rolster, specifically around bot lane, would be ideal. But you see the barrier, you see the heal. Soon to have Fate's Call. The timing of actually being able to pull off that gank is pretty minimal. Scores bot lane, but Samsung, they read the pressure and they back away.
Just going to be the recall there from Score as Mata pushes in, just getting a little bit of deeper vision.
And that wasn't just a bad gank timing. Note that Ruler went back and just bought a control ward because he said, well, this is the time where we're most likely to get stuffed bot lane with where the lanes were at, where Talia had roamed, Mata was away as well. And that was just a very unselfish back from the Kalista, understanding that the KT game plan is all about moments like that and just not opting into it and extending the game from a Samsung perspective.
Well, it's been good stuff so far from Ruler, who's coming in just slightly behind in CS. Keeping up rather well with the Xayah, but always need to be worried about that 1.5, 2 item spike coming through from Deft. Start absolutely destroying. We saw Ruler just do this 2 days ago himself in Game 3.
Saw Antara in the LCK final, running Shen as well a couple of games. Went tank Shen, did not go for the early Tiamat, but this is the way Smeb prefers to play. We'll go the Tiamat. Just saw on your screen when he gets a pull through on his Q, his all-in trades are strong, but Cuvée has strong sustain as well, so very, very difficult to pull out of lane, but damage-wise at least, Smeb can put some headaches into the side of Samsung on the top side. Extending the game. Samsung playing a very defensive style. We kind of knew what to expect with Samsung Galaxy as a team. They've almost found new and innovative ways with the heal barrier bot lane. Okay, see an attempt at an engage.
Yeah, entrance coming down here with the quickness popped as Ruler. Yet again, will just get chunked down to about half HP, but he trades nicely back there onto Deft with the Ren at the end. So keeping things pretty close. Vision will be spotted by that ward and the one over here by the Krugs. So it's been pretty solid vision control on this bottom side of the map there from KT. Just making sure they can track the Zac and ensure that he can't get those elastic slingshot entries.
Shouldn't necessarily criticize KT for not being able to replicate other teams' shutdown of Zac. When the Kalista Lulu was locked in, playing around bot side and invading with the jungler got so much more tricky. So Ambition been able to power farm up. I see him on the bot side. There's wards from both sides as he's backing, and it's been a masterful delay tactic by Samsung to buy them a lot more rope than was offered to previous Zacs.
This is going to help them get that much tankier going into the late game. The longer they can go without action, Cuvée is going to be that much stronger, that much beefier when they enter into a team fight.
And if you do get free farm Zac, if he can just get levels in parity with the enemy jungler, he does actually buff up the team in some intangible ways. Because of the length of his engage with the elastic slingshot, your ability to set up aggressive control wards and then have combo CC for a rupture, for example. We often talk about Cho'Gath from behind in terms of tempo, such a weak champion. The range of the engage is so long for Zac. As you see on your screen, that's 4 points in the E. It gets so long that you can surprise people with engages that aren't possible with other champs. Here is an engage.
Poor JJ going really aggressively here. The Fate's Call will be drawn out here. The Weaver's Wall didn't go quite far enough to cut them off from the turret, so they get out safely. No summoner spells used.
Still so many defensive ones available. That was just the Fate's Call baited out. Still Wild Growth, still other summoners. Shutting down anyone for KT is so difficult. Samsung just keep farming up, and you look at the CS numbers. 8 CS lead in mid lane, 5 CS lead the other way in bot lane. Nothing to write home about. The perfect stuff from Samsung in their negating approach.
See what it takes for this Mountain Drake to be considered from either side. Likely might have to wait until we see a pick coming through, as we're about to be 12 minutes in.
It's good deep wards from KT on the bot side, but you're right, actually finding the time for them to get out of lane and pull it off is tricky. To me, the big question mark for Samsung will be their transition from early game to mid game, because they're not a 3-scaling lane comp. They're not, say, Twitch, Kassadin when it comes to the late game. Their power spikes are around 2 items for both the Syndra and the Kalista. So it's kind of a impressive skill to be able to play defensive for 20 minutes and then turn it on, because you're going to have vision disadvantages in that time. You're going to be in that defensive mindset, and they really do need to take advantage of 2 items pretty significantly, because KT do have stronger late game damage in some areas, specifically around the 80 carries. So judging the transition will be fun to see happen, but now Samsung feels strong enough to start contesting vision as they have been so far. And the Farm Fest returns.
Yep, it's going to be control wards thrown down, clearing out standards. Vision yet again going to be spotted at the Krugs. This has been a very standard ward spot here for Mata. Pings are coming out onto the Mountain Drake, as KT do have very far, very forward vision here inside that bottom side of the jungle.
And the return gank to bot doesn't really make sense, because they have the Fate's Call back up and didn't blow anything else. So what looks like aggression, maybe Ambition's the person they can pick.
Well, it's going to be a Let's Bounce coming through, followed up straight in with that grand entrance from Mata. Wild Growth comes down onto Ambition as he leaps away, keeping himself alive, but now Ruler and Core JJ are going to be in a spot of bother. Fate's Call comes through, they get the pop-up in, on to score, looking to take him down with everybody coming through. They will be able to do so. Ruler finds the first blood in the bottom lane. In the meantime, Crown just going to go ahead and start pushing down this mid turret. We're not going to be able to get it, but still, it's going to be a massive tempo swing in favor of Samsung.
And it was a 4v5 as well. KT tried the turret dive, but Smeb missed the taunt. Looked like a taunt flash, but was taunt into being polymorph. Wasn't able to get any value from that. They didn't even have to have Crown roam down. They were just happy to pick up the answering kill. And KT got too angsty. They knew what they wanted to do with the drop, but Samsung had been so smart at just nullifying all of it that KT get too excited under a turret, give up first blood in the game. I know what word choice I used there. And just return to lanes with nothing working for them across the map because they used everyone. The lanes were in the right spot for the backs from Samsung. Samsung Galaxy, they win that. Even though it was a micro trade, it could be a big one when it comes to the mindset of KT.
Yeah, really good. And getting that first blood over onto Ruler is also just so very nice. With how hectic that bot lane dive was, allowing for the Kalista to pick it up is going to be very nice here for the side of Samsung. Getting him fast-tracked, almost has that Blade of the Rune King ready to go. As he got to gain ambition, he's going to get jumped on.
Doesn't have flash.
Still has the passive. We'll go ahead and use a stretching strike in. Smacking them together, but with Mata coming over the wall, he is almost certainly going to be dead. Cuvée having no TP won't be able to delay this, so it's actually going to be a very swift answered kill over to the side of KT Roaster, and Pawn is going to be walking away with that.
Yeah, really good to see that from KT. They returned to the scene of the crime because they knew the summoners were down.
Ooh, Mata taking a lot of damage, but all of the dashes there from Rakan will take him out to safety.
And hadn't rushed the Ardent Sensor like we've seen other Rakans. For example, Wolf in the grand final had gone for the Sightstone early, so had a little bit of extra beef to not just be one shot by the enemy Syndra. 4-level advantage for the Syndra.
And that was actually Ambition's first step in the qualifier. Went 4-0 and 8.
Watch out here, Smeb. Could be solo kill.
He's gonna get popped up. Feast is there. He's dead. Cuvée comes up with a solo kill, and this is something that we've known Cuvée to be very good at as of late. He and Khan have been absolutely destroying their fellow top laners, but doing so against the likes of Smeb is still damn impressive. Even here for Cuvée as he gets jumped on by
flash,
Pawn.
so Cuvée can just flash if this gets hectic.
Yeah, flashes away right as the Seismic Slam comes through. Pawn, had he waited half a second later, maybe gotten a prediction in, might have been able to come up with that kill all the same, but Cuvée will get out safely.
Big lack of respect from Smeb. Smeb has had the wood over Cuvée many times in the past. Even think back to spring finals when Cuvée was bringing out carry champions to try to answer Smeb's carry champion pool and looked second best. It's a tank v tank matchup, and Smeb has been impressive situationally on the Shen, but doesn't flash, didn't use it in bot lane, had it in top lane, didn't use it there either. So it's too disrespectful in the eyes of Cuvée. Solo kill. It's a big story for Cho'Gath and Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, just getting those feast stacks coming through. Almost has the spell up again, so he can go ahead and just keep getting closer and closer. He's already at 7. So he's doing pretty good for himself, you'd have to say.
Smeb went for the Smeb build, which doesn't involve as much health early as more tank-orientated early Shen builds. Means you have to play a bit more respectfully. Didn't use the summoner, went down. Deserved kill there for the side of Cuvée. Doesn't necessarily mean too much where the game is at. We're still at the same point. It's still laning phase. No structures are really even at risk of going down. Ironically, the structure most likely to go down is KT's mid lane turret that Cuvée got some free time with. So it's still the laning phase where these globals should be at their highest level of impact. But so frustrated are they with the safety of Samsung's bot lane. They can't really recreate those turret dives that so many teams look for. Just ends up with Pawn uncomfortably laning for extended periods against Crown.
He's going to be sticking around there. Here's the Banshee's Veil to help get him through a lot of those trades that the Syndra wants to offer up. Now he's starting to cheat down towards the bottom lane, but he's spotted out on a ward. So likely not going to be seeing any massive roam down, but the pings are coming through from KT onto the Mountain Drake, so maybe we see this started up as they go ahead and push some vision further into the jungle.
Hard to tell. Looks like Recall's more likely. Play the Ruin King and Boots 2 complete for Ruler. It's just Ardent Sensor. Not Ardent Sensor, I should say. But it was just working towards the Ardent Sensor. It is completed for Core JJ. Still going to be an early item for Mata, but did not go for it straight up. Essence Reaver and Zeal completed for Deft. Fire will come, Achilles, but not in game 1 for the first 20 minutes at least.
Can't say I blame these guys. I mean, this is the last chance to make it to the World Championship for 2017, so you don't want to go too ham. Put one toe over the line and then suddenly lose the game because of that.
Trades between Smeb and Cuvée getting less and less relevant. Already the first Catalyst item complete.
Having those trades going pretty well for him. In the meantime, Ruler trying to trade this one back. Takes Mata very low. Ren stacks are in, but he can't quite get the spell off. In the meantime, TP coming through here from Cuvée, looking to join in the fight. The Fate's Call gets drawn out. They want to throw him back in. The answer is going to be no. Toss him to the side, and Cuvée all on his lonesome up in the front. Look at the slow up to Righteous Glory, but that's about it. He's going to go down, so just kind of serving him up on a silver platter and allowing for Smeb to get a very strong push into that top lane.
It ends up being a 4v4. Smeb wasn't called down bot lane, so he gets a bit of free time, but Crown getting the mid lane turret first brick is massive for Samsung. Like you say, they're going to try and shut him down, but he has Ghost and Flash.
Ambition coming in will be able to disrupt. Sun lands in on to score, just ensuring that he can't get a Flash body slam off to really try to lock him down. So Crown will be able to walk away with only using the Ghost and gets the first brick there for Samsung. So they will maintain a gold lead. Top lane tier 1 turret gets weakened considerably, knocked down to about half HP. But the bigger thing, and I think they'd have to be concerned about, is going to be Smeb with that double TP advantage. Has the Stand United, as you said, didn't have to use it. And the TP is going to be coming off cooldown very shortly as well.
Might want to make a play around Mountain Drake with that information. That's the freest objective they could take. Also good to tab Shen wave clear in the face of Cuvée and try to take the Rift Herald, but it's going to despawn too fast for them to finish it. So an early game objective for what KT would have hoped to set up for will just be avoided in this particular sense. Seems like it's going to be the max damage feast build from Cuvée. Warmogs into the Gargoyle Stone Plate is the likely item build from here. Gives them the right mix of tankiness as well.
Nice early QSS here from Ruler. Sure they can't get locked down, having the taunts coming through from both Mata and Smeb. That'll help him out considerably. Not to mention the root from Deft as well with the Blade Caller. Just trying to keep himself as safe as possible. As I said that, no, he cheats forward. Goes rather low, but the Wild Growth comes through. Trying to keep him alive as he trades back in onto Mata. Hasn't popped the Rend yet, but I think him rather low. Actually draws out the Stand United, but has he overstepped his bounds is going to be the question here, because there's a massive pinch coming through from Score and Pawn on the backside. Ambition going low. Fate's Call drawn out. Will go ahead and pop up the Gragas as they desperately try to get back in underneath the turret. Does so successfully, but Ruler will be taken down by the threaded volley coming out from Pawn now on the backside of the fight. Ambition trying to get out of here. Will be able to with that leap, but now this is just going to be the turret likely surrendered over to the side of KT, and they don't suffer a single loss.
And that's what a 5v4 looks like. No ability for Cuvée to join. Samsung got too involved in trading evenly. They had the Ardent Sensor, so they felt that Ruler could go a bit reckless in the bot side, given he had QSS, Ardent Sensor. The trade was looking good in a 2v2, but you're against Shen and Talia. It's never going to be a true 2v2 with Gragas on the front foot as well. First control mistake made by Samsung after a very controlled first 20 minutes. Does give quite a lot of tempo to KT, but no true gold lead.
It's very minuscule, just kind of hovering within less than 100 gold. Drake's still not going to be touched by either team, so it's going to be a very dragon-limited game. Not going to be having multiple stacks for an inevitable Elder Dragon. Coming up with the picks there in the bottom lane. It's going to be a nice little momentum shift for the side of KT Rolster. And there just wasn't even much punishing that Cuvée could do in the top lane. Took the turret down to about half HP, but that's about as good as it gets. And in the meantime, KT coming back off those backs will go ahead and take away this first Drake of the game. So Mountain over to them in 22 minutes and 28. We will get a Cloud Drake. So maybe it's just a single Drake game.
Could be 3 at maximum if taken off spawn, but I think you're right to point out that Cloud Drake is one of the least contested here in the LCK, would only represent an Elder Dragon stack in all likelihood. I think Samsung's read was what I noticed about SKT's ban phase against KT, where they banned away the Kalista and stopped KT from just taking down bot lane turret, rotating Mata on Thresh with the Kalista to guarantee the engage. And when they can rotate their bot lane first, KT really do look like a different team, where they're able to make plays all across the map through their bot lane. It's different when Smeb or Score has to take in primary engage in those laning phase ganks. When they're able to move their bot lane, that is when they look strongest, and that's why they've been denied the Kalista Thresh combination. It really allows them to get the full power out of what Deft and Mata can do.
Well, we have the swap here from the bottom lanes into the mid. Ground down bot will be matched by Smeb at the moment as Pawn goes ahead up to the top lane and try to deal with Cuvée.
Deep vision in would allow them to threaten the turret dive and try to increase the pace of the game. Mid lane turret around half health. But have to remember, KT don't have a mid lane turret of their own, so there are potential teleport locations here. We can see 2 control wards towards the Baron pit that Cho'Gath could come into, and those home guard buff is ready right now at 23 minutes. I think both teams would be cautiously optimistic about where the game could be. Obviously, it could be better for KT, but they did pick up the last trades, and that would boost their sales. And Samsung's game plan of negating KT's early aggression and allowing their Zac to farm has worked out. So isn't that really tenuous stage when no one is upset about where the game is at? KT are still on the front foot. They still are the playmakers where this game sits. And Samsung just looking to extend the piece with more fun.
24 minutes in, only the 6 kills that we've seen here. A turret each, so has been a pretty slow one to start things off, but could very well see the heat turned up as this series progresses. Now still just going to be a few hundred gold separating, as it looks like KT might be trying to get that top tier 1 turret. It's already been pretty low. Now going to be sending Pawn and Score down the river instead, so just going to be grouping up around that mid lane where they nearly caught Ambition out. Now Engage coming through, Grand Entrance, and the Weaver's Wall going to be thrown down. Fate's Call used by Ruler, looking to get Core JJ out to safety. They throw him in, but Pawn is there to scoop up the kill. Now over the wall goes Cube with the flash, but gets popped back into it, and he is just going to get chipped down. The threaded volley, finding a double kill now. Mata finding the entrance onto the back. Just goes in onto Ambition, but Crown turns that one around. At least finds an answering kill here for Samsung. But it's still just going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of KT, plus picking up that mid-tier 1 turret.
And the timing of the engages is smart. They saw Crown wave clearing in top. He had removed himself from vision and then went to late wave clear. They had that knowledge. They knew he would not be able to roam to the mid lane.
Oh,
That's why they got so much damage in. Yeah, Ambition will just about be able to get up. I believe his cell division is available again. Yeah, confirmation there. The passive is up. That means he has no presence on the map. KT choosing their engages a lot smarter after the earlier misfire, and they should be able to turn this into a top lane outer turret as well.
I mean, if that was a Leandru's tournament from Pawn, likely would have been losing out on that passive there for Ambition. So it would have been about a half a kill coming through, but it's beautiful engage coming through from KT Rolster. They have the lockdown.
And once again, it's all about the when. The previous gank with Cube with no teleport, this gank with Crown unable to get there, going for the closest target, enough damage this early in the game to puncture through the front line. Even Ambition looks squishy. They go for the extra kill, but that's when Mata gets a bit too excited and finds Crown with just a single targeted spell to cast in his ultimate and takes him out. KT Rolster don't get that outer turret either. That's a couple of times in a row where KT Rolster has won the early fights. Kind of cement vision around the Baron. They have strong Baron damage from the Xayah in particular, so the Baron threat with a Mountain Drake is always there.
Well, KT are already starting to move up those sight lines in this top half of the jungle. Pushing the vision deeper and deeper through. They have that security around the Baron. I mean, the river is just lit up like a Christmas tree here for them with the double control wards.
I want to draw your attention to the items. 2 item killers to complete. Not quite the Leandrus, but soon to be the Leandrus coming through from Crown. Issue is that KT actually have power in their items as well. Both Smeb and Score are pretty unkillable to the Syndra. They're both able to face check Syndra and put down wards, which is so big because the game plan right now, you see it on your screen, is put down wards, try to set up for Baron, but hell, a gank would be pretty sweet as well.
Yeah, Pawn going for the pretty aggressive play there. Hobbs off the wall, just a bit shy. Doesn't want to get caught all on his lonesome versus Ruler and Core JJ, but looks for the pick, doesn't find it.
With how the game goes from here, Score and Smeb just want to put down vision and try to set up for Baron, but Crown's a bit exposed here. Gets the Banshee Veil at just the right time.
Yeah, keeps himself safe, but that's going to be both summoner spells down now for that Syndra in the mid lane. So it's just rough stuff. KT Rolster, you know, they take 1 step forward, and Samsung have to take 2 steps back.
But it's awesome that it's a thinking game both ways. We talked about how Samsung nullified KT's early plan. Now the itemization from KT is very intelligent. You don't often see this early, this sort of emphasis into early magic resist, but picking up both of these items means that Smeb and Score keep putting in vision. They don't have to respect a Syndra waiting in the brush because their adaptive helms will allow them to survive Syndra ult. Every sphere from the ultimate procs the 15% reduced damage. They can put down vision and back away. Other champions trying to put down vision, like Mata, for example, will get 1 rotation, and they just want to keep playing this plan of trying to control the Samsung blue side jungle and from there either set up Baron or look for a pick of their own. So smart itemization to allow them to actually have the playstyle they need, which is to force Samsung to come out from safety and fight at the Baron.
That's 3 items now for Deft as well. Lord Dominic's regard is completed, so even the likes of Cuve going to be finding that he's taking quite a bit of damage from that Xayah, who is hitting that critical point of just ripping the enemy team apart. So solid gold lead has been opened up here for the side of KT Rolster, 3.3 thousand in their favor at the moment. Haven't seen them go over to the Baron quite just yet. They have been trying to prep some of that vision, but Samsung has been making it their top priority to go ahead and clear out that top side of the jungle. So now the river is going to be the next objective, but pushing that far forward, it's still a bit of a risk.
Winning the game, if they don't control Samsung's blue side jungle, is very difficult for KT. It'll be a lot of pushing waves, not a lot of growth. Sure, they can turn on to a Cloud Drake, but no real chorus for that one. It's going to be an extra Elder Dragon stack later.
And the crowd goes wild.
It's decidedly mild, but is filling up. It is our last stadium day here for OGN, so it's your last chance to see LCK action, even on the stream as well. From here, it will be the World Championships, of course, hosted by Riot.
Oh,
Weaver's
Wall.
They got the Crown.
Throwing down that Unleashed power, tries to kill Pawn, but the taunt comes through, and Crown is just in no man's land at this point. He will get jumped on. He will go down. Smeb finds the kill. That's going to be 8-3. It's just an overextension.
But it's one way to brute force a lead, is sure. There's no way for Taliyah to take down Crown in a 1v1, but throw in the Shen ultimate. Sacrifice any tempo bot side because Cuve has to walk up the moment you see a play made on the top side of the map because of that threat of Baron control, and you get a 1-for-0 with no disadvantage. Sure, maybe 3 minions pushed into the bot lane turret, but nothing else. KT have been surprisingly controlled and dogged in their game plan, and every time Ambition walks up, it's always the chance that KT will look for an engage.
Serena walking up there, Ambition. 2 ships passing in the night there as he leaps to the side of that body slam, but not going to be able to get the control ward. Takes quite a bit of damage. So just has to go ahead and peel back into the jungle where he doesn't even have any camps available to take because he can't push up towards the Grom. So KT just going to get prepped to have this wave crashing into this top inner turret. Get some pressure down there.
They got that vision we were talking about because finally the stalemate around the blue side of jungle was arrested. First Scrying Orb spots out what they're doing. Scrying Orb value, they're infinite because they face-checked a ward when they went off of it. They've stayed on it, but Samsung knew they had pulled away. This is the arm wrestle here between KT and Samsung. If Samsung ever give it up, the game is likely to snowball out of control, and we might even see a fight.
That's going to go ahead and separate them here. Crown over the side, and Ambition, he's just going to get himself out of there with the leap. Now
excellent
pinback, double knockback, knocking Ambition in there. He gets the Let's Bounce, delivering 2 of them. They will pick up 1 as Cuba gets the feast down onto Deft. 2 kills here for Samsung, now pushing through, looking for a little bit more. Ruptured down in on to Pawn, and he will fall, and suddenly Samsung are starting to turn things around.
Yeah, KT pushed in too aggressively. The fact that you can use the ultimate, the Let's Bounce, even through CC, kidnapped Deft, and actually now Samsung, off script, turns onto the Baron. And they have the Cho'Gath, no feast available for now, but it seems like Score is surrendering the Baron. There's no way for him to get vision.
Oh, and just like that, KT Rolster going way too aggressive. It looked good at the start, getting rid of Crown, but the Let's Bounce delivering 2. Immediate focus coming through from Samsung pops him, and now they have the Baron. And just like that, they're right back into this game.
Rend, Smite, could have waited longer for the Cho'Gath feast. Excellent Baron secure means the KT don't play with fire. Let's watch the replay because it felt like it would be the moment for KT. They get the opening pick onto Crown. Flash taunt coming through from Shen. Kills him, but after the... Look what happens here. After you get the cast, which looked great, the kidnap goes on to Deft. If Deft is not kidnapped there, he cannot be one-shot by Cuve, who pops ult and, of course, will secure the kill. Already has the 3-item core for Rupture, and then everyone else is overextended from the side of KT. That's what happens when you have seesaws like this. A moment, a flash of a second earlier, KT saw Baron, saw a Game 1 victory. It's very well answered by the Let's Bounce from the Zac.
Let's Bounce into Fate's Call knockup, so it's actually really good patience coming through from Ruler and Court JJ, not just immediately throwing the Lulu out to safety, because that was what the drag was for, was to ensure that she could make it out alive. But then having that combination just really helps make things better for Samsung, gets them back into the game. Weaver's Wall was used Cuve getting chunked down to about half HP, will be forced to use the flash. Means it's a bit more breathing room for depth in these fights, but Crown, he's got that split going on with the Baron buff up into the top lane, looking to knock down this tier 2 turret.
They have Shen ultimate up, that's why they tried to make a play in mid side when Crown was top, but...
Rather, he doesn't actually have the Baron buff, but he doesn't need it. He's still going to knock down that turret.
He certainly does not. There's no one who can enter lane 1v1 against Crown when it comes to having wave clear to match him. Shen will be able to push in the bot side. Only going to get so much work done. Samsung grouping with the Baron that was gift wrapped to them by KT. Now Cuve can just pull away, go to the bot lane, and KT can't walk up. There's no ability for them to walk up to Crown on this Syndra.
And just like that, Samsung edging out with a very slight lead here, but it's still going to be so very close. One more engage like that, but properly executed by the likes of KT, not having depth get snatched up by the Let's Bounce, and it could be a completely different story. They still have that hyper carry potential here from depth. All that damage will be offered up from Pawn. So Samsung is not out of the woods yet, but so far looking to make some pretty good use of this Baron buff as they will be knocking down this final outer turret here in the bottom lane.
And it nullifies KT from playing where they were strongest, which was forcing Samsung to face check around their blue side and around Baron. Now it's Samsung setting the tone of the game, setting the pace, and asking KT to be responsive, and it's harder to make the engage plays they want responsively with the Shen.
Gonna take a little bit of damage here. Seems like he'll be safe to get out in the meantime. Cuve gonna get body slammed on. Goes down the Rupture, gets the pop up in on the depth, delaying him as best as possible, but Smep goes forward with the taunt, and they really just want to get rid of that Cho'Gath. He gets the feast down on the depth, takes him low, but will not be able to get the kill. Crown wrapping around from the sides is gonna be spotted out. Has to get out of here very swiftly. The move speed from the Scuttle Crab to help him out as Smep comes over the wall with a blasting cone.
And no threat unless both Shen and Gragas turn onto him, because he had the Banshee Veil still available. KT feeling strong enough to make plays because Samsung cannot group as swiftly. Very few teams can, compared to a Talia and a Shen as solo lanes. So against the Baron buff, they pick up a pick. 2 Drake stacks into an Elder Dragon buff available to them. Crown still has his full rotation, but it is in vision.
Everyone from Samsung is converging on the position right now. Down to about 3,000 HP remaining, and now Crown going to get pinched on flashes to the side, but Score is there to pick up the pieces. Throws down the Unleashed Power, and Score actually takes the Blasting Code. That's a smite! Score, not playing around the Elder Dragon, will just surrender that one over, but now Samsung need to get out safely. Double stun comes through from the Scatter the Weak, and it seems like they will just be able to walk away with the objective.
Yeah, they were able to stay on it, released onto the side of Samsung, and KT was so tunneled on taking down Crown. Banshee Veil, Ghost Flash, such a difficult feat to pull off. And now gift wrapped an Elder Dragon buff. No Drake buffs around it, but still Elder Dragon will help with the push. And KT keep trying to make the map plays. Often they succeed, but sticking the objective advantage after the kill has proved frustrating for KT Rolster.
Well, they want to go for a play here. The TP is coming through from Smab. Rupture thrown down will just delay him and potentially nullify the entire engage. Weaver's Wall not going to catch anybody on the opposite side, so Samsung will just be able to mosey their way on out.
Insane passage of play in these games. The almosts between the two teams, the what-ifs are so clear. 62 HP, all that's remaining on the inner turret in the mid lane. Crown able to go pick up these waves. The side wave control of KT has been great. It's why Crown has been drawn to side lanes so often to answer minion waves that are pushed up by KT, pushed up by Smab, who has the luxury to play side lanes more than Crown does. But getting more than a single kill has eluded KT Rolster again and again. Maybe the second Baron will be their Alamo. They will feel like they were so close to pulling off the play they wanted at the first Baron. It all went the way of Samsung Galaxy. They cannot afford to make that level of mistake a second time with how much Samsung has rescued their tempo in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they have brought the gold lead to a pretty decent one here for 37 minutes. Not as significant as they would have liked. There definitely has still been some missteps from that Baron. You know, Cuve losing his life, but still being able to push up, get that turret, exit safely is a good look here for Samsung as they continue moving forward. They're 6-10, have that deficit as far as the kills are concerned, but have this Elder Dragon buff for a short little while. Whether or not they're going to be able to make use of it is the other question. It seems like the answer is probably going to be no.
Frontline versus frontline will be Super Tank versus Super Tank. Hard to look past a Zac in that particular regard. There is Gargo's Stone Plate on both the junglers and both the top laners. So I give it slight advantage the side of the Zac and the side of Samsung, because Zac can actually access the backline at all times with more reliability than a Gragas and a Shen, but it's certainly not impossible for KT to pull that off. Then you look at the AD carries, both of them are pretty stacked, but Infinity Edge is a Xayah item and not a Kalista item. But Ruler, with double lifesteal, is so likely to be at full health throughout these fights. You look at the gold leads, it's 2,000 gold for Syndra, but relative parity everywhere else.
I mean, it's also going to be an inevitable triple lifesteal coming through with the Mercurial Scimitar completed eventually. So we'll just be looking to sustain through all of these fights, keep himself alive, plus has the added protection of the likes of that wild growth, so even killing Ruler is going to be rather difficult. I mean, this is going to be seeming like it's the Sterix Gage days of Kalista builds.
Forcing him to be out of position with his flash, heal, the Lulu dead. These are all the things that really lead to Ruler dying. It's so difficult for KT Rolls to pull off unless they're face-checking a Baron, but KT are actually the team forced to face-check. Samsung have control of the pit.
Yeah, they are starting this one up. Smeb has the Stand United available and is splitting down to the bottom lane.
You can't take any liberties. Remember, Feast and also the Rend available for Samsung.
Here's Wall booping Ruler and QV back onto the other side. Ambition goes forward, looks for the grab there on the depth, but the Featherstorm keeps him safe. Smeb now arriving, and Samsung yet again starting up this Baron. On's up above them. Be very careful about how they're going to approach this one. Mata not going to be finding anything, and he's just going to get feasted right off the bat as QV comes up with the first kill of the fight. Redemption comes down. It's a decent heal going through in onto the Cho'Gath. Now they're chasing it on to Pawn, looking to take him down. Ruler fiercely jumping in, finds the kill, but gets taken down swiftly thereafter by Depth, and now it's just all hell breaking loose as QV tries to be a rock in the front of this team fight here for the remaining members of Samsung. He'll get the flash away from Depth, but that should be the Baron being conceded by both sides. No one going to be taking this at the moment.
I mean, Rule's the MVP when it comes to consistent damage. He's the only one that has it on the side of Samsung, so him dying is what forced Samsung to pull away from a great position. They had all the control around the Baron pit, but they have to concede it. Ruler only used his barrier, did not use flash in that engage, so we'll be able to posture forward again. But those short ranges on Kalista can be punished, and were punished by KT.
Both of these teams are walking along a tightrope right now, and either one could fall off at any time.
You see how hard it is for KT to get the fights they want. It was only because Samsung felt empowered
Barely
there was any death. Yeah, he missed, but when you miss by inches against Cho'Gath, you just die if you're a squishy support. So from there, it looked like Pawn will be caught as well. But watch Ruler, who's in front of his tank line, just gets burst from the crit damage on the Blade Caller scaling and dies to death. That was a mistake from Ruler straight up. He did not need to be as wantonly aggressive in the front line. Him giving up his life stopped all of the other control around the Baron, and now Baron control will actually go the way of KT.
Yeah, even just weakening Pawn would be enough to send him back to the base, which means that maybe Samsung, with the Kalista still alive, could have turned over onto the Baron and secured that for themselves. But now they have to push back into the river, try to clear out this vision that KT has garnered for themselves.
It was a lose-lose setup for KT. We saw the attempt by Mata to go all in on the bot side. We knew Talia was on the top side, but what did that really look like? What was the convincing way for them to engage on two fronts? Talia is not going to be running into Zac and Cho'Gath and the rest of the team there, so they don't actually have coordinated dual fronts unless Gragas or Shen is on the other side looking for a taunt. So for them to come out even, that's pretty decent. Deft was sitting on Jerome's Fist for a while, and you think about items that build out Jerome's Fist, and you think, okay, Frozen Mallet is one that fits the AD role, but not usually a Xayah item. Just wants extra maximum HP to stop the Feast from being a true one-shot, because you think, okay, it's Syndra, more Malmortius, prioritize that. You just get one-shot by the Cho'Gath with true damage, so going the way of the extra HP works against the burst damage from Syndra. Not as good as more Malmortius, but decently, but certainly helps a lot against this man on your screen.
Yeah. Well, yet again, just watching the wet noodle fights here between the tanks. Meantime, mid lane looking like might have some action busting out. Could find an opportunity for a pick.
42 minutes. We haven't had a 42-minute game in a long time in the LCK. We've been having a lot of short matches.
The pace has really picked up as of late. I mean, you think back to game number 4 of the final. Longshu just absolutely shattering SK Telecom in about 25 minutes time. So it has been much faster pace, but this is this one's being drawn out because again, if we've hit that point where both of these teams, one mistake could just end game 1, give that advantage over to your enemy, and oh god, that
The crowd, the audible gasp at the 146 HP per second as he walks away with the Warmog's health regen. Looking for Ruler, he has to flash, that's big for KT.
Yeah, that's massive. Now they come around the backside. Smeb, oh, nice juke coming through from Ruler. Turret will still go down, but showing that fancy footwork to avoid that taunt. But now not having the safety of that flash available, Ruler just going to be relying on the barrier and the wild growth from Core JJ.
It's just funny watching Samsung try for engages because you think, who's going to engage? You're not going to Fate's Call in a Lulu. Zac engages alone, and no one can catch up to Zac to actually combo off the engage. That's why forcing KT into Baron was their true engage, forcing the enemy to come to them. They're going to force them to come to them again. They start up the Baron a second time.
They are looking for this one as Crown tries to play
You need to go
gatekeeper.
quickly against all this Baron secure.
Got the orbs ready to go. Trying to get them out of here. Weaver's Wall, of course, not available here from Pawn. Now the Baron going rather low. Will be rented out. Smeb arriving off the backside of that stand Unite as the fight will break out here. Juve up in the front line, going to get popped up. Goes low. Seismic shove, bringing it back in. Ambition here. Massive grab. Just pulling them all in. Pawn going low as the feast comes through. And he's going to be the first one that falls his crown. Claims the kill. Ambition flashing forward. Stretching strike, pulling them all in. Mata going low, tries to get his way out, has those Ren stacks, and just has to exit alongside Def as the rest of KT scrambles. Smeb will go low, and one more hit might just take him down. But Cube, he's been rejoining the fight, comes back in with the TP, won't be able to find the rupture, but now Samsung have the Baron, they have the pressure, and they're going to be looking to finish the game.
Only a single kill onto KT. The kidnap was onto Pawn. It wasn't Def. They get Def. The game probably ends. They're probably going to get minimum an inhibitor, though. No one can walk up to a full health Cho'Gath. So difficult for KT to show threat on Ruler, and Ruler went relatively unscathed the entire fight.
We'll see, they're still sticking around. Ruler is at full HP, and they're in onto the first Nexus turret. Smeb goes forward, gets a taunt down in onto Cuvee. Chuck him down a little bit. Def taking so much damage just from that unleashed power. It seems like Samsung might just back off after getting this turret. That's going to be the play. They open up the map that much more, creating this pressure now into the mid side. Samsung, let's see what else they can do with this Baron buff, but for now it seems like it might just be another Elder Dragon on the way.
And you see one of the big problems for Deft when it comes to positioning, because you think about, okay, he went for the health, he's not going to be one shot by the face. That part is true, but Achilleos, what we're seeing in fights is that Crown, he just puts down a couple of spheres, ults, Deft, and then guess what? He is in feast range because he will take half his health. Two targeted abilities can burst him from full, even if it isn't the correct setup from Samsung. That's just the reality of those abilities. AT rush onto the Elder. It's not going to be in any way contested. They got their inhibitor, they back away. Side waves have been in great position for KT, but actually winning a fight, that's the thing we're unsure if KT can do.
Still within the realm of possibility. Even after all this time, the gold lead has not been stretching much. As we're 46.5 minutes into this one. Just under 5,000 gold is the only lead that Samsung really have for themselves, as several people already have those 6 items completed.
5,000 gold at this stage means basically nothing. It's all about team comps. It's all about killing the front line, as the person they focused every fight has been Cuvee, to stop him being able to just wait in the carnage and flash onto Deft and face him. If he's dead, they don't have to respect that threat. But puncturing through this man, this insanely tanky Void monster, is just impossible. There's almost no way to do it. And at that same time, Ruler will be skipping around, putting down his auto attacks, and the threat onto him is slim to none from KT.
Yeah, I mean, boots have been sold. He's got the Phantom Dancer coming through. So Ruler is all in on this build. Wants to go ahead and just stamp KT out here in game number 1.
Different kind of game than we were used to. J-Strafs are gone from the side of Longzhu. Super tanks are in action, so actually winning the game when both teams have smart understanding of macro strategy, there's very little ways to do that. KT are coming up with side lane turrets because of how Shen and their team has been smart at pushing, but breaking the base for them has been impossible. And when the Baron buff shows up, Samsung goes, okay, well, you have to engage on us. Good luck with that. KT so far really don't have the comp set up to be able to pull that off. It's going to take a moment of a miracle kind of moment from Scorer Smeb, you feel, to be the answer. But even finding a way to blow Ruler's flash again is going to be a struggle street for KT.
Yeah, likely not going to get that same wraparound opportunity like we saw.
And then KT rushed down Elder, and Samsung are like, well, we'll just wave clear for a bit. We'll wait out the buff. We're not going to be forced to contest for anything because Baron hasn't spawned, and they have the inhibitor lead, so it's more of a denial elder than anything else for the side of KT.
Samsung can just play this as patiently as they want. Baron still a ways away. Just wait for that Elder Dragon buff to go ahead and drain out of KT.
But we're getting to endurance test territory. When you hit 50 minutes, a mistake is magnified. We saw a small mistake from KT, turret diving early. We saw other positioning mistakes. Ruler, for example, over pursuing around the second Baron. Now you can't make those mistakes. Now really mentality is examined, and because games have been short recently, we haven't had these sort of in-game systems be tested in the last couple of weeks. We've had so many short games. You know it's long when you see a Zarot portal be put down on the bot side, but that's one of Samsung's band-aid ways to stop Shen from just being able to split push whenever the teleport's down for QV.
I mean, this would be an endurance test of a game, even in just a best of 3, but now this is a best of 5. It could really go the distance, and who's to say that all of these games don't last this long, Papa's really? We could be here all night long watching Samsung and KT Rolster duke it out the 5 games.
Nowhere I would rather be. I think we will get games of different levels of speed, though. I think we will not always have super tank, junglers, and top laners the entire set, but it certainly suits QV more than it does Smeb. Look at that, just a Q. It's for 50% of Dev's HP. Does not have any magic resist, we have to remember.
Yeah. So that'll be sending him running. And
Samsung is going to rush mid lane.
Yeah, they're just going to go ahead and push straight up. We have the single Nexus turret to try to get through. It's going to be very slow recalls coming through. Smeb still in the bottom lane, looking for the split push to try to expose that inhibitor.
As the inhibitor is respawning for KT. Is up now.
Ruler going to make very quick work of this one.
A 1-for-1 trade is just fine from KT Rolster if they can actually get it. You're going to see them chasing onto Samsung. They don't want to allow any backs to complete. That's why you see the Weaver's Wall used as well.
I mean, this is far side of the map for them. This is going to draw them as far away from that Baron
Zach
as humanly
completes his
possible.
recall.
But can he interrupt it? It's going very low. Will be leaping in, trying to stop it. Smeb throwing down that dodge field. Seems like he might just be able to finish this one off. Ambition, does he want to invest the Let's Bounce and try to draw him away? The answer is going to be no. But now can they kill Smeb? Because Baron's up in 30. They're going to draw him back into the base. The rest of the team is
KT's
collapsing.
here as well.
They're going to try to kill him, but yeah, KT is joining in to try to save their Shen's life. He's going to go ahead, flash away, dashes as well, and it seems like Smeb will in fact be able to make it out alive after taking that bot lane inhib.
It's insane how small these advantages that are being traded are, but they're oh so big. Smeb only has to blow his flash to trade inhibitors, when a trade of inhibitors looked impossible for KT. They already can't fight when Samsung is good. They can't fight when Samsung decides the game will be won. That's why Samsung returned to where they've found most of their happy hunting, around the 3rd Baron of the game.
Just one of those. Control ward thrown down here by KT. Going to get cleared out. Crown, he's on the other side, but looks, finds the stun in onto that. He's going to get popped up. The shields come through. They keep him alive for the moment. And QV is going to get jumped on. They are ripping him apart. Baron will go over to the side of Samsung. QV flashes away to keep himself alive, but now Samsung have to get out of here safely. Explosive gas knocks Ruler to the side. So there's no follow-up reliable enough here for KT, but now the Weaver's Wall has them cut off, but it's a bit of a war of attrition, of tiptoeing back and forth as KT looks for an opening, but it seems like they're not going to be able to get it. Ruler gets out with the recall, but now it's a 5v4.
They don't know Ruler hasn't grouped. They know it now when they see the 4 members backing away. Ruler hadn't showed on the bot side. Baron buff and getting out is what happens for Samsung just a couple of seconds after trade of inhibitor and backing away happened for KT Rolster. 52 minutes in. This question for the best of 5 is still true for this single game. We still don't really feel that we're any closer to knowing who will come out with a Game 1 victory.
It's been on the edge this entire time. Samsung looking to go ahead and bring the wave up the bottom lane. Maybe look to take out another inhibitor turret. We'll be shoving forward here.
6 items has been hit by everyone except for Mada on the side of KT. 6 items hit for Core JJ, who does not have a control ward slot, you'll note. Only person with a ward slot is Mada in the entire game, which is a quintessentially Mada thing. Forcing this guy to build a 6th item is something I think many teams have tried and failed at.
It's probably a good problem to have.
Sure. You know what you get with Mada? It's wards, wards, wards. Riot direct nerfed him by stopping there being unlimited control wards on the map after 2014 Worlds.
Here we go, wave crashing through, Baron empowered minions. We're going to be severely weakened here for depth, so you can go ahead and get the wave clear coming through, but the turret has already fallen. The Weaver's Wall not going to be doing much to dissuade Samsung. Rupture not going to connect, and they can go ahead and heal back safely if they so please, but it seems like they might be sticking around for the next wave to try to get in onto this inhibitor. Put things up further for them. Just tried to slowly strangle KT out of this game. Miller has the angle. He's got Cuvée body blocking him from the body slam. There's no flash available either for score, so getting on top of this Kalista is going to be very challenging for him. One final shot will do it. Now jumping in onto the Gragas, but he takes himself away safely with the body slam. Redemption comes through. We'll go ahead and pop them back up to safety. Safe levels here for their health bars. It looks like Samsung are going to be satisfied with that take. They will go back to base.
I'm sure some people are watching this, desperate for there to be a fight. It's been 54 minutes. Where's the fighting? Only 20 kills. But the problem for KT is that they'd love to fight. They just don't know how to choose a fight on their terms. You saw them posturing forwards as they were largely watching their inhibitor die. And honestly, Achilles, all they were hoping for was to blow one of the Feast or the Unleashed Power, because then Def finally can go aggressive. When both are available, it's so hard for Def to try to auto-attack, because he knows that at any point he can be flashed upon. Flash R, he's dead. He just will die instantly without any other skill shots having to hit. So we return to what has worked for Samsung. Playing at Baron worked for Samsung. Playing around the two inhibitors worked for Samsung. They're looking for a third, and I don't think KT can really afford to wave the white flag at 3 inhibitors in a row.
Haven't had a kill in quite some time. It's been 9-11 for the longest time now, but seems like we might be changing that rather soon. Massive kidnap coming through for the Let's Bounce there from Ambition. They still haven't found the kills yet. Smeb's so very tanky, and Cuvée, well, he's been massive on the Shogun. He'll be taken out. Def finds the kill, and he didn't even get to use the Feast in the fight. Now KT, this could be their opportunity to try to turn things around, if not for that dead inhibitor in the bottom lane.
But this is the point for Samsung to get the hell out. Huge death timer on Cuvée, 66 seconds a moment ago. This is the KT power play they have not found in 30-odd minutes. They're going to try and return to the inhibitor that will be respawning in the bot side. Just respawns as I say it. 2 inhibitors are possible for KT. For now, they're posturing around the Elder Dragon, which already, with only 2 Drake busts of questionable value, Samsung have shown that they're under no pressure. If they have 5 members, they will not choose to fight during the Elder Dragon. It's the easiest objective for KT. They will choose it, but to me, actually pushing up with your minion waves and getting this inhibitor while you can with 25 seconds before Cuvée respawn would have been a smarter choice.
They do go ahead. They snatch this one up for themselves. And we'll be going back to base collectively. But we are about to hit 60 minutes here, Papa Smithy. I think we're breaking the 2017 split record here.
Not for the whole year, because I think spring was like 67 minutes or something along
for summer, for sure, then.
For summer, I think when we hit 1 hour territory, we're right there, Achilles, and it's the proverbial late game that we're so often denied in Korea. Our games are traditionally longer than other regions, but in the late game now, what I said 20 minutes ago is still going to be magnified here when it comes to one single decision-making mistake.
59-54, longest game in summer.
Items also reaching 6 items, no boots territory on multiple members. We often see it with the AD carries, but even Syndra right now is just an orbital strike, walks around, and if her flashes up, we know what she's going to do, Achilles. This is 6 AP items flash onto the enemy Xayah build coming through from the Syndra.
I love it.
Does mean they can be run around. Cloud Drake and Boots still up on both the members of KT. Can continue to play those sideways. Have been expertly manicured by Smeb throughout this game. Right now, when it comes to open inhibitors, the only one inhibitor that's down is bot lane. They're not having Shen play through that lane. It was Taliyah to get it shoving faster than Shen is able to do. Shen more focused on creating a headache for the side of Samsung in the top side. I know the thing that will frustrate people is I'm not sure we'll ever get the big fight. I'm not sure if there ever will be 5 members dead on one team because 2 dying, a frontline dying for KT, for example. You lose Shen and Gragas, the game's over. You cannot defend 3v5 against what Samsung has. To actually see both teams commit to a fight that Samsung has been, situationally choosing and KT has been unable to get, makes it almost impossible. It's almost like everyone has their action figures on display, ready to go, pimped out, but no one's actually able to start an action figure fight because they're vintage. They have to stay there and look pretty. And sadly, that's the reality of where we are in this game.
You don't take them out of the box, you keep them there. That's how they get valuable. Just like my Beanie Babies. I'll sell them one day.
How's the eBay market looking, Achilles?
It's not been great. It's like the NASDAQ, it goes up and down.
Speaking up and down.
For the opening here. Featherstorm does come out, he gets a double root from the Blade Caller there onto Cube and Ambition. But that might just be it. Slight stalemate here, but the Baron has respawned. The pings are coming through.
Draw a Summoner out with that particular re-engage. Turn on to the Baron. This has been Samsung's happy place. They burn it down so insanely quickly. It's at 5,000 health. This is the closest KT have gotten to contesting it.
Weaver's Wall's coming through. Score's not going to be able to enter because the Ren does take that one out. And Ambition, he jumps in, but he's immediately going to get popped into the passive. KT can just try to finish him off. Yeah, TP will come through as they try to keep him alive. It's a shield coming in, and he hasn't died yet. Now Cube actually getting bumped into the front line of KT. Gets the feast down onto Pawn, but it's not enough to kill him. He won't receive the redemption heal, so he's still at low HP, but depth is full. Score goes forward, but the juke comes through, and it's not going to be finding the body slam connection that he wanted.
Still flashes up on KT. The re-engage is on Achilles. This could change in a moment.
Goes in, he gets a pop-up in onto Pawn, but will not have the last bounce. Now they're going back forward. The body slam coming through.
Score solo. He's dead.
He's going to get popped, but that's going to be a double kill. Going over to Crown, ripping them apart. Depth still alive, but he's going to fall right at the last second, and now Smeb will go down all on his lonesome. Just the one kill from KT over onto Samsung. That is going to be the ace complete, and that is going to be the game. We have broken the record. We're gonna hit over 60 minutes here, and this is just game one. It's a best of 5. We could still go the distance.
It's gonna be Samsung winning. Syndra, 6 items, no boots. The fight came to her. Everyone tunneled onto Roller, and Syndra blew away the opposition. Solo magic resist on the side of KT. This has been a war, and it's only game 1. Samsung Galaxy looking to return once again to Worlds. They made it to World Finals after upsetting KT Rolster. That's the sort of thing they want to revisit.
And picking up this win instills so much confidence here for Samsung. Had they lost with Ambition, who was their savior, versus the Afrika Freaks, you would have to have serious concerns for them in this best of 5 series. But picking up that game 1 victory, albeit a very arduous task for both of these teams, taking it over 60 minutes, the longest game we've had in summer, they're still able to walk away with the win. And now they just need 2 more to close this out and punch their ticket to Worlds.
This matchup was a bit of the sword and the shield. We know that KT is the proactive early game team, and with Ambition, Samsung endure, Samsung wait for their moment. And when it went 60 minutes, you already know that the shield was the one that was going to have the advantage. Samsung pulled it late, only ever fought when the enemy had to come to them at Baron. Weren't playing ARAMs, were just focusing around the objectives where their fights would be strongest, and they pull out the game 1 victory. KT looked for the early moves, but the barrier on the Kalista, the double-ranged bot lane, stopped them from recreating other protect the Zac strategies, and took that ability to take down the Zac didn't happen. The super tank came out, and Samsung endured.
All right, well, we'll see how KT is going to fire back for game number 2. Maybe not let that Zac go through in the next draft. We're going to go to a quick break, guys. When we come back, we will have game number 2. See if